Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Again, it's Friday. Last Friday was always Saturday. It's always Saturday now, so. And I got it, Woolco. Thank you. I am in the process of doing this thing that we do. So I hope everybody's doing good. You know, we're here now. That doesn't work. Does that work? That doesn't work. I don't think that works, Craig. Does it? Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Sound! Turn it up! Hi, everybody. So, we got everything in place. I have a big fat dab ready to go right here, right there. Look at it sparkle. Look at it sparkle. Got a big fat dab ready to go. I have 15. I have 15. I have 15. Only shows 14, but I have 15. One is a Canadian clip. The 15th one is Canadian. Canada responds to Trump. So, yeah, we'll let Trump do Trump and we'll do Canada. Which is good because they don't want to do Trump. That's for sure. 15 clips. Canada responds to Trump. There you go. Got 15 motherfucking clips, including fucking Tiger. And, where's Boo Bear? He was here a minute ago. Oh, there he is. He's laying in the river. So, I was thinking, that today, I've been talking, I've been showing you guys clips about this aircraft carrier that has the COVID virus spreading through it. And the commander of the aircraft carrier was like, hey, can you please get these troops off, get our sailors off of here because this is not going to work. And they fired the commander of the Air Force carrier today because Trump loves our troops so much. As long as you're a war criminal, he cannot wait to pose with you if you're a war criminal. But if you actually stand up for the troops, like a commanding officer should, fuck you. We don't need you here. Trump is butthurt again by garbage.
Not a new fallout for that Navy commander relieved of duty after sounding the alarm about a coronavirus outbreak on his aircraft carrier. At least 114 sailors on board the USS Theodore Roosevelt have tested positive. Members of Congress are now speaking out in support of the captain, demanding an investigation. And Martha Raddatz is tracking all the latest.
The letter that got Captain Brett Crozier fired was a plea to Navy leadership to get most of his nearly 5,000 sailors off the ship as soon as possible, given the rapid spread of coronavirus on board, saying, "We are not at war. Sailors do not need to die." On Wednesday, Navy leadership confirming sailors were getting off the ship rapidly and that there would be no retribution for Crozier's letter.
The fact that he wrote the letter up to his chain of command to express his concerns would absolutely not result in any type of retaliation.
But last night, all that changed. Crozier relieved of duty on the carrier. The Secretary of the Navy didn't accuse him of leaking the letter, but for failing to safeguard the information and showing poor judgment.
Relieving of him of command was in the best interest of the United States Navy and the nation in this time when the nation needs the Navy to be strong and confident in the face of adversity.
Crozier has had a stellar career in the Navy in his more than 30 years and was on track to be an admiral. This will effectively end his career.
Although the captain should have protected the letter better, his crew will appreciate that he sacrificed his career for their well-being.
Democrats on the House Armed Services Committee called Crozier's dismissal an overreaction, saying while he clearly went outside the chain of command, quote, his dismissal at this critical moment is a destabilizing move that will likely put our service members at greater risk and jeopardize our fleet's readiness. But, Michael, the Navy is getting most of the crew off that ship, just as Crozier wanted.
They should. Thank you so much for that, Martha. And
Well, for whatever reason they fired him for, it sounds like to me, if Donald Trump was half of this support the troops guy that he pretends to be, that he would not allow that commander who clearly his men love and appreciate what he did for them, be fucking, down the gangplank like a fucking criminal, like, yeah, get off the fucking ship, you're not welcome here anymore. Fuck those people. That Thomas Moldly guy, the guy's name is Moldly, that guy, he is one of the weaselishly looking motherfuckers I've ever seen. And this acting Secretary of the Navy, acting fucking Defense Department guy, I just can't take this shit no more. We really gotta. Not that I appreciate. I just everything is like a basket is like fucking. They got all these eggs, that they're juggling, and some of them are about to fucking fall, and it's really pissing me off. That that people like this guy who stood up to make sure that people didn't die unnecessarily lose his job. It's disgusting. I have another clip of a bus driver, right? And the bus driver is talking about how somebody on his bus was riding and they're just like coughing and they're not covering their mouth, their hand, they're not coughing, they're not covering it up, they're just coughing. And then 4 days later the bus driver gets this COVID-19 and now he's dead. And he made this, he made this blog about how fucking horrible it is. I don't know, man. Again, I don't want you to buy into the fear. I can't stand, the world being fucking screwed up for no reason. It's screwed up and there's no good reason for it. If this COVID-19 thing is some kind of a weapon, a weaponized virus that escaped from a lab, regardless of what lab it escaped from, then there's no good reason why the world is completely fucked right now. Except for there's these evil motherfuckers who take our money and spend it, on bullshit that could kill everyone. Like nuclear weapons. Donald Trump brags about fucking how he's rebuilding our nuclear arsenal. Oh, yay, more stuff that can kill everyone on the planet. Just what we need. Oh well, we'll get through it. We will get through it. We always do. This is a call-in show for those of you who are tuning in for the first time. My name's Mike, and this is your Wake and Bake News at 7 p.m. I'm your host, Moxie. And we're just here to, touch bases with each other and maybe get a little bit of information here and there, and just make sure that, we all have the chance to say what needs to be said, because YouTube is not allowing people to do that anymore, clearly. So, if you have anything that needs to be said, please don't hesitate to call. Operators are standing by. Until then, I have a video of a bus driver who complained about a person coughing. And you'll notice on this clip, there's also Jared Kushner talking about how the supply that they have of medical supplies, the national supply, reserve of medical supplies is for national, federal, not for the states. So I thought that was a pretty important thing to know also in this clip.
The Trump administration has criticized states begging for supplies, accusing them of exaggerating the need.
The notion of the federal stockpile was it's supposed to be our stockpile. It's not supposed to be state stockpiles that they then use.
But today from the president, a pledge.
We will take every action and we'll spare no resource, financial, medical, scientific. We will not spare anything. We'll get it back into shape, the Empire State.
In New York today, staggering numbers. More than 100,000 people testing positive for coronavirus. Victoria, a school nurse, is one of them.
I am worried about me. I don't want to go out like this. I'm afraid. But I'm afraid that I'm not going to get a chance to see my family again. I'm afraid for what's going to happen to our country.
Tonight, mounting pressure on the governors who have refused to issue stay-at-home orders. 1 week ago, Kay Ivey of Alabama was defiant.
We are not Louisiana. We are not New York State. We are not California. And right now is not the time to order people to shelter in place.
Today, there are 1,300 people testing positive for COVID in Alabama. 21 have died. Ivey now announcing a stay-at-home order effective this Saturday. Missouri tonight issuing its own order. In Florida, where a stay-at-home order only took effect today, cases spiked 20% in just 24 hours. Georgia held out until earlier this week, the governor insisting he only now learned that people without symptoms could spread the disease.
This is a game changer for us.
But that information has been widely known for weeks. President Trump has resisted pushing holdout states to act, but Dr. Anthony Fauci has been blunt.
If you look at what's going on in this country, I just don't understand why we're not doing that. We really should be.
Tonight, President Trump with an announcement about masks.
The CDC is advising the use of non-medical cloth face covering as an additional voluntary public health measure. So it's voluntary. You don't have to do it.
And in Michigan, a warning about the need for social distancing. Bus driver Jason Hargrove on Facebook saying one of his passengers couldn't stop coughing.
For you to get on the bus and stand on the bus and cough several times without covering up your mouth, that lets me know that some folks don't care.
4 days after recording that message, Jason developed symptoms himself and died this week.
If we just think about those workers across the country and just try to make sure to cough into our arms or cover our faces to try to protect those around us. And Whit Johnson with us again tonight. He's outside that temporary hospital at the Javits Center here in New York. We know that they will be taking coronavirus patients there after that agreement with the president. And late today, Whit, President Trump, just before we came on, announcing the new CDC recommendations when it comes to masks. The Surgeon General already acknowledging that the federal guidance, in his words, has been confusing to the American people on this.
David, initially the White House was against face coverings for the general public. Now they are recommending non-medical cloth masks. But President Trump emphasized that it is voluntary and that he himself probably won't be wearing one. David?
All right, Whit Johnson leading us off tonight. The news on masks there, the warning.
Anytime she goes away, The guy who sang that song, I guess, or wrote that song, ain't no sunshine when she's gone. I guess he died. I just saw it on the Chiron going across the bottom of the screen. Not the Chiron, it was on the crawl going across the bottom of the screen. Okay, so now there's a new news agency. It's about I don't know, 2 years old. It's less than 2 years old, and they've been, as far as I know, but they've been on my cable dial for less than 2 years, and it's the Newsy Reports. I've been showing you guys some of that, and they sell themselves as a no opinion news source, you know, so you can just go there and just get news, right? It's no opinion. We're not here to tell you what you're supposed to think, and today they did a story about pot shops being essential, right? Pot shops, right? And the thing is that that's the way they label it on the Chiron at the bottom of the screen. It says pot shops. And the thing is, I never ever call marijuana pot, or cannabis pot, or weed pot. I call it weed, I call it cannabis, I call it marijuana. I don't ever call it pot. And it's really it's one of these like things that only these propagandists say is pot. So, and in fact, there's this really lovely lady in here who appears to be a cannabis retail, recreational retail shop owner, I believe, and she talks about the pot shops, cannabis stores, weed stores. I call them weed stores. The weed stores being labeled essential during the COVID outbreak, and if you listen to her, you can never imagine her actually saying pot either. You know, it's just, that's the word that's just not used unless you're like a propagandist. So, and the reason that I point this out is because Newsy, if you're not going to be the same old bullshit fucking propaganda that we're used to, if you're something new and fresh and unopinionated, then don't use that fucking word. Okay? And you'll see that there is a propagandist in this clip also, and he uses that word. He talks about pot. Talks about pot, you know, and you can just hear it when he says it, like it's this horrible thing, pot, you know? And it's like, oh my God. So I wanted to share that with you, but I wanted to set it up so that you guys can see what it is that I see.
The coronavirus has forced most businesses to close their doors as more governors are ordering residents to shelter in place. But in nearly all of the 33 states with some form of legal marijuana market, dispensaries are still open because they are considered essential services. There's a couple of reasons experts say dispensaries are being considered essential services during the pandemic. For one thing, many people use marijuana as a medicine, even if they don't have a prescription for it.
There are a number of people that use cannabis for both medical and therapeutic reasons that don't necessarily want to sign up for the medical program, be that because of extremely high registration costs or a number of other reasons. Perhaps their qualifying conditions aren't covered by the existing medical program.
And Fox says shutting down legal dispensaries would likely where the product is potentially unsafe. Lisa Conine manages Ohm of Medicine, a medical and recreational marijuana dispensary in Ann Arbor, Michigan. She says the fact that her shop can remain open, along with other essential businesses like pharmacies and grocery stores, reflects a major cultural shift in Americans' perceptions of weed.
I think it's just such a beautiful point of progress that we're in a position now that cannabis businesses are seen as essential, as we're still fighting for legalization in other places. That's actually a great case that we'll be able to make in those other states.
But not everyone thinks dispensaries should be allowed to remain open during the pandemic.
We're encouraging people to go smoke weed right now. in the middle of a public health crisis where we have a virus that impacts people's lungs, their respiratory functioning. We have long lines outside of these pot dispensaries, which is a significant risk to the public because we know that this virus can spread very easily through these lines in proximity to other people.
But marijuana advocates say worries over pot shops being closed indefinitely is what's actually driving more people to dispensaries. Officials in San Francisco and Denver quickly reversed orders for pot shops to close down after the orders prompted long lines and panic buying at dispensaries. Co9 says the state of Michigan is restricting in-store purchases at dispensaries during the pandemic. And she says she and her team at Ohm of Medicine are taking extra precautions to keep their customers safe.
We are able to stay open, which is wonderful, but part of that is that we can't have anyone else in the lounge or in our facility other than employees. So we are just strictly curbside.
Kellen Howell, Newsy, Washington.
So Craig does a lot of cameras for the pot shops, the cannabis stores, and the people that he talks to said that the reason the weed stores are essential is because they just make too damn much money for the government, which is easy to believe, right? So anyways, I thought you guys would want to see that, and I imagine that the liquor stores, grocery stores here in Washington State sell liquor. They didn't used to, but once Jay Inslee became governor, now grocery stores sell liquor. Because I think that the liquor stores were not very profitable for the state-run liquor stores. But the liquor stores are gone. But I imagine they would be deemed essential also. Although in Hong Kong, they banned the sale of alcohol because people won't keep their mask on after they start drinking. Like, fuck that. So we got that one, and then is Michelle in here? Michelle here? Michelle's been talking about how the Trump White House shut down the pandemic. People that are supposed to respond to pandemics, the whatever the team it is that they had in place, ready squad like FEMA or whatever it is, to responds to this type of emergency. Michelle keeps bringing up that Trump shut it down, and I have a video about that, and then I also have a video about a local guy who's running for, and if anybody's wondering, there's Boo Bear. He decided to join us down by the river. I have a local guy who's running for governor. His name's Tim Eyman, or something like that. And he's out in front of grocery store right now having people sign petitions. Because as long as you stay 6 feet apart, it's totally safe. And I thought you guys would want to see that. The guy is kind of crazy. There's something, he seems a little off anyways. I don't want to say he's crazy, but he definitely seems a little bit off. So, I got that video for you.
The CDC is advising the use of non-medical cloth face covering as an additional voluntary public health measure. So it's voluntary. You don't have to do it. They suggest it for a period of time.
President Trump and the CDC want you to wear a mask when you're out in public, but they say you probably already have what you need in your home. The president also encouraged cloth protection for your face during his daily address from the White House over the past hour, but he also emphasized don't take medical supplies away from healthcare workers who need them right now. Now, that voluntary order comes as COVID-19 spreads worldwide, with 181 countries impacted. The U.S. still has the most, with nearly 274,000 total, according to Johns Hopkins University. Our state accounts for at least 6,500 of them. We'll take a look at this. This is in Bellevue, where today supporters of Republican gubernatorial candidate Tim Eyman showed up to buy essential items at a local Walmart and sign petitions. They were from various counties, including one to designate gun stores as essential businesses. Eyman says it's important for people to exercise their rights, even with this order to stay at home.
I think it's really important that people see that we're not being reckless and irresponsible. I mean, we're making sure to keep the social distancing. We're making sure to use hand sanitizer between each one. There's no reason we can't exercise our rights and not also be safe at the same time. And it's like
Eyman is one of the Republicans challenging Democrat Jay Inslee in the governor's race this fall.
So we got that going, which is nice because, you know, it's good to have jesters around. I don't know what's up with that guy. I hope that they are being safe. It seems like a foolish thing to do. You know, here we see people, you know, licking toilet seats and stupid things. So, I don't know. It would be horrible if next week he was sick and then, you know, people who signed his petitions were sick, right? So I just don't think it's a very good stunt. If it could go horribly wrong. That's the whole thing. Otherwise, you know, I don't think it's a very good idea. But that's what we got going on here. And so again, Canada responded to Donald Trump today after he told the 3M people to stop shipping masks to Canada. And Canada was like, you know, let Trump be Trump and we'll be Canada, which I think is a really good plan for Canada. A really good approach anyways. Because last thing you want is Canada being Trump. That would be really messed up.
Good evening. The deadly COVID-19 virus has killed 4 more people in our province, and there are 53 new positive cases being reported tonight, bringing BC's total close to 1,200. BC is also responding tonight strongly to a directive from U.S. President Donald Trump. He has told an American manufacturer to stop exporting N95 masks to Canada. Our Tanya Fletcher is here live this evening. So, Tanya, how is our province's health minister reacting to that?
Yeah, Mike, Adrian Dix called the news disappointing but not surprising. He says those actions are wrong and don't make sense for Canadians or Americans. Now, remember, there are pulp and paper mills on Vancouver Island that provide material to the U.S. to make these kinds of critical supplies like masks and gowns, too. But Dix doesn't believe we should respond with retaliation because he says this is a global effort.
Rather than contributing and making the problem worse and going tit for tat, we should work together for a result that will benefit all of us. Part of the reason we have challenges in British Columbia is because there were challenges in Washington State, that COVID-19 doesn't know borders, and we want our American friends to do well. We want their response to COVID-19 to be effective.
And now Dix is also clearly pushing Ottawa to do more to monitor and enforce the Federal Quarantine Act for travelers returning on repatriation flights. We see that he says more screening and blatant messaging needs to happen, not only on arrival at YVR, but also at the departure level in other countries so that passengers know the 14-day isolation rule even before they land.
We need to actively follow up with cases. We need access to the full information when people come to Canada. The BC health system needs that access to full information from the Government of Canada. We need individuals where necessary to support by dropping off food, so that when people come to airports, they don't go past and go to Save-On. They don't go to Safeway. They don't go to Costco. They go home and they stay home.
And Tanya, Dr. Bonnie Henry has also asked why we're not seeing people being ticketed in BC for disobeying her physical distancing orders.
That's right. Dr. Henry says there's really no evidence right now to show that type of enforcement is necessarily effective. She says it's challenging for bylaw officers to police those actions, and she's defending BC's strategy, calling it a reasonable approach.
I am much more concerned about those parties, those host parties, the having people over and mixing, and then them going off with others and mixing. So that's when we get these little chains of transmission, is when you're spending some time with this group of people, but some of them are with another group of people. And those are the things that transmit this virus.
And just on one more note, there have been complaints that healthcare workers can't find a spot at the parking lots because those lots are full now that it's free. Some drivers have been taking advantage and parking there, then hopping on the bus or the SkyTrain. Well, Dick says they are aware, but he added that that kind of misuse is unacceptable, and they'll try to find a way to start enforcing that. Mike?
All right, Tanya Fletcher reporting live tonight. Thanks. Well, with plenty of talk about a shortage of protective equipment, some good news locally tonight. Turns out several Vancouver area manufacturers are about to deliver thousands of reusable medical gowns for frontline medical health workers. As Eric Rankin of our Impact team reports, they are gowns designed and produced right here in BC.
Mustang Survival is now churning out survival gear of a different kind. Its entire Burnaby factory retooled, switching from life jackets, survival suits, and other gear for the public, Coast Guard, and military to reusable, innovative medical gowns, coming to the rescue of local frontline health workers during the COVID crisis.
As soon as we heard that medical supplies were there were shortages in some of the gowns or other medical supplies, the moment we heard that, we expected to jump in and start helping out.
Vancouver Coastal Health asked for that help 2 weeks ago. The target to produce 5,000 gowns a week over the next 2 months, 90,000 in total, all below market rates.
It's very crazy. It's been a very busy last couple of weeks, to be honest with you, and everybody's pushing hard.
Mustang has partnered with other Lower Mainland companies, including outdoor clothing giant Arc'teryx and K-Bro, which launders medical gowns for hospitals, plus local fabric suppliers and commercial sewers, to test and produce a prototype isolation gown made from a waterproof fabric that can withstand repeated sterilization and reuse.
The main thing is we're trying to prevent water or any other sort of liquid penetration, and then it's got the added benefit of it's breathable, so they can stay comfortable and stay focused.
In addition to Mustang, Arc'teryx pledges its U.S. factory will start gown production this weekend. Vancouver Coastal Health says it's grateful and wants to work with local businesses to find local solutions. Mustang says inquiries are now coming in from Toronto and the U.S. But what about manufacturers sharing secrets with local rivals?
Sometimes you need to sacrifice a little bit of that secrecy to move the ball forward. And then when this is all over, we'll create new secrets.
Next up for Mustang and its partners, the manufacture of surgical masks as they work to alleviate that shortage. Eric Rankin, CBC News, Burnaby.
Sorry, getting sidetracked by the chat. Oh, and my Boo Bear moved. I was gonna heat up the bong. Oh, there's Craig pulled up the stats on what the 502 gardens bring in every month in Washington State. Not the gardens, the stores, the gardens, everything combined. Looks like about $500,000 a month, something like that, a little more. Is that what it says? I think that's what it says. About $500,000. Little more. Is that what it says? Yeah. But you know, it's very important to the people. It's not just a what now? $9 million in January? Is that what that says? In January? So I guess it brings in more than I thought. January. Wow. Yeah, a lot of money. Brings in way too much money to shut down, that's for sure. And it's not that. It's like the manager of the store was saying. She was saying that, she was saying that it's such a beautiful thing that marijuana is considered essential, and I see it the same way. I see it as this remarkable advance in humankind, going from fucking reefer madness to being essential in the middle of a plague. Which I keep telling you guys, you're not eating enough marijuana. And the douchebag in that fucking video, the propagandist douchebag, people should not be smoking marijuana in the middle of a respiratory outbreak, blah, blah, blah. That guy makes his money by spreading reefer madness propaganda. That's how he makes his money. That's the reason he used the word pot in that. But, I'm not saying you need to smoke more marijuana. I don't think I've ever said that. But you need to eat more marijuana. That makes a huge difference. And I'm not, it's not, it's not like this, eat marijuana. No, you need to eat marijuana. Okay, it does this thing where, the brain has all these cannabinoid receptors, and it does this thing where it fires the brain, and it makes the brain so that it processes things differently. So if you have an issue with whatever it might be, the cannabis fired brain adjust things more properly. This is the reason people are suffering from Alzheimer's and dementia, and not just that, but when you give a MS patient cannabis, they're like this, and you give them a puff of weed, and they're just all of a sudden just ready to sit and have a conversation with you. It's that big a difference. It's day and night. It's life and death. That's how big a difference it is. So, it's being able to fucking talk and breathe and like I said, it rewires the brain to fix the things that need to be. It's like cannabis is the hack for the brain, right? It's like the antiviral software that keeps the brain protected and firing the way it's supposed to. And there's lots of different candies to have. Craig likes the candies. I really recommend that you make your own. Craig won't eat my brownies. They're way too strong. But I really recommend that you get your own, because what you get when you go and buy a bag of edibles is not going to be compared in any way to what you get when you go and buy an ounce of marijuana and a pound of butter and you blend it together in your crock pot. It's just not going to compare. It's going to be day and night comparison, and you're going to get so much more than a little bag of candies. So I've shown you guys how I make butter. You can type butter into the search bar of Mox News, and you'll see the butter recipe comes right up. But again, you can do it the way to fit your needs. You can get 1 ounce of weed here in Seattle. I don't know, before the plague, an ounce of weed you could get for anywhere from $60 to to however much you want to spend. But, you know, $60 to $100, you can get an ounce of weed here in Seattle, no problem. And that's the perfect kind of weed to cook. You know, I even press it. I even make concentrates before the weed, before I see. I even smoke the weed. This is like 2 grams of weed right here that I pressed in my vise, and I will take this puck and I will put it in my crock pot, and I will make butter out of it. So it's a beautiful thing. I'm gonna have to explain it in further detail, because the way I do it seems to be a very good way to do it. It works well. So if you guys, eventually I'll have to get down and get more serious about explaining exactly how my cannabis lifestyle. We'll probably get a lot more into it once we start, officially growing marijuana, which hopefully will be any day now. I can't find my fucking shit. Where's my fucking shit? It's not up anymore. Okay. Okay, so let me pull up my fucking shit over here. Where is it? Here. And we still have like 5 more videos to go. But again, I really want to highly recommend the eating of the cannabis. You guys know I really want to highly recommend that.
Sometimes life can be a little overwhelming. Sometimes the weight of the world can be too much to bear. Sometimes you need to stop worrying and take a deep breath. Sometimes you need cannabis. Introducing Brightside, high-quality cannabis delivered right to your door. Brightside offers an extensive menu of strains and products to meet your needs. Choose the experience you want, and we'll send you the dankest herb, the real sticky icky, some top-shelf marijuana. If you like what we send you, keep the whole jar. We'll even include some nugs for you to blaze. As part of Discovery, you'll get to try new strains and products. Side effects may include euphoria, increased appetite, uncontrollable giggles, elevated sensitivity to musical dopeness, and reduced anxiety. Tetrahydrocannabinol may also induce feelings of existential well-being and relentless optimism. With a Brightside subscription, you can get it once a month, once a week, or whenever you want, all at a price you'll like. And yes, this is a real company.
Do you know who I am? You're the wizard.
Ask your doctor if cannabis is right for you. It probably is. Keep it Brightside.
I was supposed to heat up the bong in that clip and I forgot. I think I'm eating enough cannabis. I haven't even had a single bong hit today. Not one. And I have this beautiful, lovely dab. Oh, look how it sparkles in the light, ladies and gentlemen. Can't you just imagine that on the end of your dab stick and vaporizing right into your lungs? Doesn't it look beautiful? Wouldn't you just love to participate in that? And you can. Hopefully soon, if not now. But what I really recommend is that you eat the cannabis. You must eat the marijuana if you want the full benefits of it. If you really and truly want the full benefits of it, you must eat the marijuana. And since no one's calling, Craig has Craig has back in the day video of us making marijuana butter. Anyway, but I am gonna do something. When I do something, I do something. And you know, I think what it is that I don't want I don't want him on there. I don't want let's see. I don't know. I have a bunch of videos left to play. And I have a bunch of videos left to play. So, we can play video. Oh, I have a video about the police versus COVID-19. I understand it ravages people who take steroids. So, and then I have a video about the National Guard working at local food banks to help stock shelves, because a lot of the people who work there are older people and they're not able to, like, you know, be around. They're kind of self-quarantining. Everybody's self-quarantining, so it's better for the elderly maybe not to be in that kind of environment. So, anyways, this is the, we're making butter here, and, you know, we made so many butter videos. It's like dozens and dozens of them. But most of them were made for TV. So, but they're still around. One of these days, I might actually put some of that stuff on the YouTube. Some of that legendary shit. You never know. God, that guy is sexy. Let's see. I'm going to play a video about the police versus oh yeah, the police versus, I believe this is from the Max and Newsmax channel, which has just appeared on my cable dial in the last few weeks. The Newsmax channel, and I believe this clip is from Sean Spicer. Sean Spicer has a show on there, and as you probably remember, Sean Spicer was one of the, I believe he was the first press secretary for Donald Trump, and he that position seems to work out for most of the people most of the time. You know, the making of the being the press secretary, that seems to almost always get you one of these gateway jobs where you can, you know, get a nice cushy check for doing almost nothing. But as I was saying, Sean Spicer, I'm pretty sure this is from his show, and this is him talking about the issue that the police are having with the COVID-19 and their worries about getting through it and having enough supplies and such. And, you know, and then they tell us to, you know, take up the supplies. You need to be using the supplies. Where are we at here? Where is that video? Oh, number 8. Here you go.
Well, there's an increasing number of police departments around the country watching their colleagues get sick as they try to enforce social distancing and stay-at-home orders. So what are they doing to stay safe? Here to answer that, we bring in Executive Director and CEO of the National Sheriff's Association, Jonathan Thompson. Jonathan, thank you for being here.
It's a pleasure to be here. I'm sorry we have to be.
Hey, Jonathan, let me ask you, how is this affecting law enforcement and the ability for them to do their job when they got to kind of watch out for folks in public, social distance from folks that they come in contact, but then you've got so many officers that we keep hearing about that they themselves are actually having to deal with COVID-19. So how is it affecting the ability of law enforcement to do its job?
Great question. Before we answer that, let me just say a couple things. One, to the doctors, nurses, and healthcare workers, they're on the front lines as well, probably the front line. And we're really, we're just seeing some amazing stories from those folks. Our hearts go out to them.
You know, we're seeing that crime reports are going down right now. Is that what you're experiencing?
We're seeing some crime reports go down, but we're seeing domestic violence go up. We're also seeing suicides a slight rise. We're also seeing drug abuse, overdoses climbing as well. You know, bad guys don't take a vacation on holidays, and they certainly don't take a vacation during a pandemic. We're worried. We're watching it. We're cautiously optimistic that people can stand by, be taken care of, obviously, by our first responders. But at the end of the day, the COVID virus is changing the way everybody interacts with the public and one another. And we have to be very vigilant in how we look at an interaction with a potential criminal or response to a 911 call. So we're seeing a new tempo, a new posture and response, but more importantly, we're responding. Our men and women, our deputies are out there. They get there as fast as they can when that call comes in. There's some triage going on the phone call to make sure that it's an urgent call. And if there's a life-threatening situation, they respond immediately.
That's awesome. You know, one of the questions that I have for you is oftentimes, you know, you have law enforcement on the front line worried about being in harm's way, but now being in harm's way of getting sick and now potentially bringing that to their families. How do they strike a balance between protecting citizens and then themselves and their family members as well?
Yeah, that's a tough one, and it's becoming emotionally draining for a lot of deputies, a lot of officers. You know, the great news is that we're working with organizations like Airbnb, Marriott Corporation to provide alternate housing options for those people that feel, hey, listen, I may have been exposed in the past couple of days, but I still need to be at my job, doing my job. They're looking at alternate housing solutions, and both on the scene of the headquarters or command centers. But they're also thinking to themselves, I may not be able to go home. And if I can go home, how do I distance myself from my family in the event that either I'm infected and shedding or vice versa, my spouse or partner's shedding? Those are real complicated, and they're real world problems that we're facing in real time.
Hey, John, let me ask you real quick. We talked a lot about on this show, and you've heard a lot in the news about prisoners being furloughed because of the virus. Is that having an effect on how you guys do your job, or are you concerned about what effect it may have if we keep releasing these prisoners back into the public?
Yeah, we're definitely worried about it. I think what we've seen is sheriffs, for the vast majority of sheriffs across this country, what they've tried to do is to lower the risk on the inside of the jail as well as lower the risk on the outside of the jail. Those are difficult challenges, but it becomes, as I said, it's a risk equation. Clearly, people need to remember that sheriffs don't make the determinations who's in jail. That's the judges, and sheriffs across the country are working with those judges and the jurisdictions to say, is there a reason? Is there a safety risk? And can we do a release, or do we need to detain them given the risk that we see? There's one other element, Sean, and you know this as well, is you can have some very, very dangerous people in a jail. And a jail oftentimes can be equated to a cruise ship, except you can't get off and you can't get on it unless you do something bad. The difference is we have, in the vast majority of our jails, we have incredibly talented medical staffs, dedicated medical staff. They're looking for all sorts of potential injuries, including mental health challenges. And as you know, 60% of the people in jail today are probably there because of a mental health or a coexisting condition. So we've got experience looking at these things, but now with the virus and how it does spread and how quickly it can spread, they're taking new measures, and they have to put things on in terms of personal protective gear, which is in short supply. We have asked the president, we asked the governors, we've asked them time again, hey, you need to make us tier 1 as well, so we can put these masks on, make sure we're protected, but also the inmates, and importantly, when we come across the public, they're protected.
Hey, Justin, thank you for what you and all of the officers and the sheriffs, police officers, first responders are doing to put themselves in harm's way to protect the rest of us. I really appreciate all that you guys are doing. God bless you for doing it. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you, and God bless them as well. They're heroes. They really are.
Yeah, they are.
Sometimes life can be a little overwhelming. Sometimes the weight of the world can be too much to bear. Sometimes you need to stop worrying and take a deep breath. Sometimes you need cannabis. Introducing Brightside, high-quality cannabis delivered right to your door. Brightside offers an extensive menu of strains and products to meet your needs. Choose the experience you want, and we'll send you the dankest herb, the real sticky icky, some top-shelf marijuana. If you like what we send you, keep the whole jar. We'll even include some nugs for you to blaze. As part of Discovery, you'll get to try new strains and products. Side effects may include euphoria, increased appetite, uncontrollable giggles, elevated sensitivity to musical dopeness, and reduced anxiety. Tetrahydrocannabinol may also induce feelings of existential well-being and relentless optimism. With a Brightside subscription, you can get it once a month, once a week, or whenever you want, all at a price you'll like. And yes, this is a real company.
I need control of the mouse.
Do you know who I am? You're the wizard.
Ask your doctor if cannabis is right for you. It probably is. Keep it Brightside.
Okay. Now you can have the mouse back. I was gonna heat up the bong during that clip, but it wasn't as long as I thought it was. So this is being difficult tonight. I have not had a bong hit all day long. This is going to be my first one. And I've been so looking forward to it. I came over this afternoon, and I was like, I'm going to have a dab. And I was like, nah, I'm good. And I was like, well, as long as I got it, I'm going to make a pretty one for tonight so I can get it ready. And I still haven't had it. Weird, right? That's what happens when you eat enough marijuana. I highly recommend it. Can't recommend it enough. And a whole lot of other good things happen too. So, let's see. Which video was that one? That one was Police versus COVID-19. Okay, National Guard at the food bank. Or UK Boris Johnson update. Oh, this is my beautiful babies. That's my girl chasing the green dot, and that's my Boo Bear, and he's about to attack that that sprinkler like it's a bunny. Girl loves bunnies. She saw a bunny yesterday, and that Boo Bear loves to roll in the grass. He's a very funny boy. He's a very funny boy. I could watch a video of him all day, every day. And it would just keep this giant smile on my face. I always tell people, if Rufus was everyone's experience of experiencing a dog, that everybody would want to have a dog. He's just an amazing guy. And we're all very lucky to have him around. So, I have more videos to play. We can do, and Craig just checked the phone, so in case you're wondering, Craig did just call the phone to make sure the phone is working. So the phone is working. And this is a call-in show. And in case you can't see the phone number is 805-669-6397. 805 Mox News, 805-669-6397. Now, that being said, I have clips to play. I do. And I'm going to go ahead and play another clip. Unfortunately, they are all COVID-19 clips, I think.
All right, in the United Kingdom tonight, the first of the government's emergency field hospitals to treat coronavirus patients is now open in London, and not a moment too soon. The number of coronavirus-related deaths reported in the UK passed China's official toll. Think about that. For more, let's go to I24 News UK correspondent Jonathan Satcher-Doty. He's standing by in London for us. And Jonathan, we spoke yesterday about the huge field hospital being built in London, and today the Nightingale Hospital is now open. How did that go?
Yes, the Nightingale Hospital in London was officially opened today by Charles, Prince of Wales. But this being 2020 and now being the time of Corona, he wasn't actually there.
Baby.
Instead, he spoke by video link from his home in Scotland, where he had been until recently on isolation quarantine himself because he'd tested positive for COVID-19. He was relying instead on someone on site to actually unveil the plaque for him after he spoke. Now, this hospital has been created in just 9 days, and in one of the country's largest conference centres, in the ExCeL Centre in London's Docklands. Prince Charles praised those who worked hard to get the hospital ready in so little time. Here's what he said.
It is, without doubt, a spectacular and almost unbelievable feat of work in every sense, from its speed of construction in just 9 days, as we've heard, to its size and the skills of those who have created it. An example, if ever one was needed, of how the impossible could be made possible and how we can achieve the unthinkable through human will and ingenuity.
It is indeed an impressive achievement, but one which underlines the potentially horrific path ahead, with capacity for 4,000 beds just for coronavirus patients. And ominously nearby, work is also underway to build a huge temporary morgue the size of 2 soccer pitches. So the country is preparing for huge numbers of people needing critical hospital treatment and also huge numbers of deaths from this relentless and horrible disease.
And Jonathan, Boris Johnson completing his 7 days of isolation so far after testing positive for COVID-19, but he isn't actually coming out of quarantine just yet, right?
That's right. Yesterday, we saw Health Secretary Matt Hancock return to work as normal after he finished 7 days in isolation after testing positive for COVID-19 with mild symptoms, just like the Prime Minister. But Prime Minister Boris Johnson also testing positive around the same time and therefore requiring 7 days in isolation in Downing Street himself is not coming out of quarantine. He announced today that he isn't leaving isolation yet as he still has a high temperature, a symptom of COVID-19. While we haven't been told that he has more serious symptoms like breathing difficulties, this does still mean that he cannot mix with other people, so he will stay on doing his work from isolation in 11 Downing Street, where he is leading the fight against the virus by video conference and by phone. He made a brief appearance at the front door of number 11 Downing Street yesterday without stepping outside. He took part in the second round of applause taking place across the country to show respect and gratitude for doctors and nurses and other frontline workers who are battling to fight this virus outbreak.
Yeah, well, let's hope the Prime Minister is on the mend. And I know we're expecting to hear from the Queen on Sunday, right, Jonathan?
Yes, it has been announced that the recorded address to the nation from the Queen will be broadcast on Sunday at 8 p.m. local time on television, radio and social media. She recorded that message earlier today in Windsor Castle. It's highly unusual for the Queen to make a speech like this. She's only done it 4 other times in times of crisis.
Very rare indeed. All right, Jonathan Satcher-Doty reporting for us from London tonight. Thank you, Jonathan.
So anyways, guys, I am I am looking forward to this weekend, hoping that we can make something cool happen. Because why the hell not, right? It's always the weekend now. Anyways, I have more videos for you guys, or we can do whatever. Oh, Craig got another lovely Rufus video, which again I can just watch forever. He's so cool. And there's his sister Sammy, Rufus and Sammy. What beautiful babies. He loves the water. I just think that this stepping down into it is a little tricky. I'm sorry, I can watch that forever. So, let's see, we are almost caught up here. Let's see, I have, I'm not sure which one that is, but you guys have seen him go and swim to get a ball. He doesn't have a problem going to swim to get a ball. It's just he has trouble getting into that pool, man. So, I guess I'm going to go ahead and play another video since we're not getting any callers tonight. I thought this was a good video about the National Guard helping out in the food bank. Let's see if you can get down there in the pool now. Go on, boy, you can do it. Go on, get it. Nope. Get it, boy. Get it, boy. Get it, boy. Get it. Get it. Get it. Nope. Alright, so I'm gonna... Is he gonna get it? Is he gonna get it? No. No. You gonna get it? You gonna get it? Get it, boy. Get it. Get it, boy. Get it. Get it, boy. Get it, boy. You can do it. Hello, caller.
It's not caller, it's Joe.
Joe?
Hi, Mike.
Hey, how's it going? You say Joe?
It's Joe.
Hey, Joe, how are you?
I'm alright. How you doing? Joe's a little... Hi, Matt. What's up?
I'm good. Thanks.
Well, I think you're kind of like... You're in a weird zone, man, because you like show these videos and then you don't comment on the videos. You go back to talking about smoking some dabs or like talking about your dog, and not like, in case you forgot, like Rome is on fire.
You know, I don't see it that way, Joe. I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but I'm not going to come out here and act like my hair is on fire and that everyone else's hair needs to be on fire. Because my hair is not on fire, so you know.
Yeah, but you're also not assessing like what's going on in a psychology news cycle, and I think you're just like really selling everything short to smoke some dabs and not appear controversial. I think like you're showing up kind of light on your feet, bro. You and I have had disagreements.
You know, it's just not true. I don't hesitate to be controversial. It's not what this show is about. I'm not trying to be controversial. I'm just trying to make clear that I not bought into the fear, and that I want you guys to move forward, not afraid.
I'm not afraid, man, but you're not woke either. Like when you talk about like always.
Yeah, well, I'm real glad that word what works for you, you know, and that you can label who is woke and who is not woke, but that seems pretty shallow to me.
You just did it in a reverse order.
I didn't do anything. I just pointed out what it is that you're doing.
I know you can, but it's also why nobody's calling in, because you're not compelling.
People aren't calling in because it's Friday, dude, and they just want to relax. Okay.
Whatever. I mean, why even show up?
Because I want to touch bases and let everybody know that stuff is still where we were. Okay, we're still here.
It has to regress in a dog video, and it has to regress in like you taking dab hits rather than accepted. Everybody knows it's cool to take dab hits. It's cool to do this, that. But there's a lot of serious shit going on, and you like always fall into these like crevices of comfort, and it's not handy.
Okay, well, maybe it doesn't work for you, but it works very well for me.
Nobody's calling in, bro. Nobody's calling in because you're not You're not even like bringing the relevant features of what we should be thinking about. You're like just dabs and dogs. I get it.
It's not true, dude. I've talked about numerous subjects tonight besides dabs and dogs.
I got dabs and dogs. I tuned in like an hour ago.
Well, we also talked about a news agency that I've begun playing videos from for the last couple of weeks, Newsy, and that they portray themselves as being not opinionated, and I pointed out how they are clearly opinionated on this particular issue, and yeah, we had that discussion earlier, and I also talked about the aircraft commander who's gotten fired today, or in the last 24 hours, for trying to fucking save his people, his sailors. Okay? So I'm not just doing what it is. You have an issue with me. Okay? And that's fine. You want to have an issue with whatever.
And you're sitting here dumbing everything down to a dab and a dog.
No.
Everybody loves dogs. I have cats that I've rescued. You want me to sit here and talk on about that? We can't. But at the end of the day, it's lame politics, Mike Mox, and that's what's going on. And the fact of the matter is Trump is sitting here trying to benefit. There's 7 firms out there that are dealing out these ventilators, and they're financializing this thing, and they're going on these eBay kind of bidding wars, and this country is suffering. In case nobody understands, there's a lot of political chess that's going on, and we're sitting here not even playing checkers.
And this is something that I discussed earlier, too, with fucking Kushner talking about the fucking medical supplies being the national supply, not the fucking national stockpile, not the state stockpile. Okay, so I've talked about numerous things this evening, and I don't, because you tune in late, and you got this giant chip on your shoulder.
You know what, Mike? Here's the problem, man. You can't keep showing up and sitting here doing dabs and dogs.
Of course I can. Of course I can. I don't come to your channel and tell you how to do your fucking show, do I? Do I? Yeah, and that's what it all boils down to is, and this is why I hung up on you last time, because I'm not going to sit around and let you fucking tell me how I'm sucking Republican dick over and over again.
I'm calling you out a fucking Republican dick.
Yeah, and that's why you got hung up on last time, because that's who you are.
I'm calling you out a fucking Republican dick.
And obviously this is something that you think about a lot, sucking Republican dick. Good luck with that. Because I don't spend any time thinking about that. But obviously he does. So I'm not going to let him put that on me. Okay? And as I said, we've talked about at least three different issues. Because no one called in to further the discussion doesn't mean that I'm going to fucking go on and on and on about it. You know, and yeah, I can watch video of fucking Rufus forever. Literally, I would have no problem doing that, and I'll have a smile on my face the whole time. Hello, caller.
Hey, how's it going, man?
I am good. How are you?
I just want to say that last caller was a fucking idiot.
That guy's got a horrible chip on his shoulder, and he got hung up on last time he called because he kept saying the bullshit about me sucking Republican dick, and I can only take so much of that crap, you know?
Totally. I just wanted to call because I listened to last night's show and I heard Steve going ham on I believe he was going ham on Chris.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to make a joke, and I just wanted to say that I think I know where all the toilet paper went is up Steve's ass. That's all I want to say.
Well, thanks a lot for sharing.
All right, man. You take care.
Okay, call anytime. Thanks. Bye. Calling you out, Steve. So again, I'm only going to take so much shit off of someone like that, okay? Because no matter what I did, if it wasn't his exact agenda that I'm fucking touching on and fucking shilling out, you know, which is that we're all going to die! Fear! How come you're not telling people to be afraid? Fuck you! That's why. No, I'm not out here telling people to be afraid, and you gotta fucking have your hair on fire, and we're all gonna die, and everything's gonna be horrible. Okay, if that's what the truth is, then we're all in that same boat, and we will all get through it together. Okay? And hopefully we won't be yelling at each other about sucking Republican dick. You know, when what the truth is that, you know, the Republicans and the Democrats are the fucking same. Okay? And we've seen it, and we've had that discussion forever. So, you know, whatever that guy's deal is, again, I'm only going to listen to it so long. And I listened to it plenty. The other night he called, I listened to it way too long. So, you know. Let's see. Oh, we lost a video of my pooches. Or the video of my pooches right there. Hello, caller.
You know, Mike, the only reason I haven't called is because I'm busy sewing over here.
I'm not giving you a hard time, Shug.
No, I know you're not. But Stacey, this is my way. I'm trying to give the caller a hard time. But you know, I mean, he could just say what's on his mind and not insult you. That'd be kind of interesting, actually.
And that's the discussion that I'm looking for. I mean, I can take so much, you know, insulting, because I don't know him. It doesn't matter. It's not like he matters to me in any way. You can say whatever, you know, anyone basically can say whatever they want, and it's not a big deal to me at all. But to me, it's just so childish to get into the name calling like that, you know. But I can only take so much of that. If you can't really, because I do take some of it, and I should only have to take so much of it. And if you can't kind of acknowledge that you're, you know, look, dude, you're having a problem here, you know, maybe you should tone it down a little bit. Then, you know, I'm gonna move on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so I don't know. I guess in general, what's on my mind is mostly the mask thing. I'm kind of digging it. I don't know. Maybe it just gives me something to do.
What? Oh, you're making masks?
Yeah. Making some masks. I did a little bit of research. I am not a great sewing person, so it's a little slow going. But
yeah. My friend Sam, who I talk about, who shot the drone video for us, a lot of the drone video, he made a bunch of masks, and then Julie, Craig's friend, who I know also, was on the show last week, and then she got diagnosed COVID-19 positive, and Sam made sure she got a bunch of masks so she can, you know, be safe.
seemed like a kind of a nice thing to do. And if at some point I try to go out and see clients, which would why would I do that right now? I'm just not sure.
It's just,
but if there was some strange reason I needed to do that, then I was looking at how I can make one that's good enough to actually protect you from somebody else who's ill, not just because I think most of that's my understanding thus far, is that mostly the mask is just to keep you from breathing on other people. Because if everybody did that, we'd be cool.
Right. Yeah. No.
Allegedly.
That's
Allegedly.
Mainly what that's what the masks are mainly designed to do, is to keep you from spreading your germs onto someone else.
So, if anybody out there knows, you can drop a note in the chat, call in and talk about it. So what I had heard today was that the reusable shopping bags that we down here in Florida, we get them from Publix, but I suppose all kinds of stores have them. Those actually are a reasonable filter.
Huh.
So inside some fabric, 2 layers of that is supposed to be able to filter out the virus.
Wow. Well, that's good news, I guess.
It's allegedly true. I don't know. I think it might be, though. I really think it might be. I kind of did my own little experiments with it, and it does seem to be water repellent, and you can still breathe through it somehow. That's sort of interesting.
Yeah, nice. I've seen a few different videos about how to make them. I think one of the videos I played last night had something about a simple mask that you
had a good mask one last night. I enjoyed that very much, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
And I have no idea if this is going to work either, but I am going to try to do a video thing tomorrow to share a movie with some friends.
Cool.
I don't know if that works. I've never done anything like that before.
About how to make a mask?
You're invited.
About how to make a mask?
Huh?
Or what?
No, it's a mushroom movie, honey. Just Saturday night. You gotta relax.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I hear that. I agree with that 100%, everybody. I think that's excellent advice.
Yeah. I really enjoyed that new Fantastic Sunshine movie, so I'm gonna try to share it. We'll see what happens. And it was really lovely. It was on a larger scale. It was kind of about how we're all connected.
And that's one of the things that I think this COVID thing makes very, very obvious, and that I really hope that we can come to that understanding. That all of us together, the whole planet, we have to come to that understanding if we're going to fix what's wrong.
Yeah. So I highly recommend that movie to anybody who wants something visually stunning and gives you some intellectual stuff to think about. That's actually more on the positive side, and it's very timely. They don't mention this particular virus, of course, but they do mention some other similar things.
Right on. And what was the name of the movie?
And about how plant medicine, mushroom kind of stuff. There may be answers there.
And what was the name of the movie again?
Fantastic Fungi.
Oh, that does sound pretty good.
Oh, yeah, it was great. It was like hanging out with your friends. They had you heard a little bit of Terrence McKenna in there, and you got to hear Paul Stamets. It was just lovely.
Right on. Awesome.
And, it kind of, even though it was sort of a serious thing, it sort of was uplifting. It's kind of better than listening to the news.
And you're doing that
Unless I'm doing it with you, Moxie.
And you're doing that tomorrow night?
Yeah, I'm going to try to do it tomorrow night.
At what time?
I set up a premiere for 8 o'clock Eastern.
Okay, cool.
I don't know. Maybe Craig can talk me through that if there's something. I downloaded it. I uploaded it. I set a timer. I don't know. Does that work?
It sounds like you got it. If you got it uploaded and you got a timer set, it sounds like it's all ready to go.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
I like experiments.
It's fun doing new stuff.
It is fun doing new stuff sometimes, huh?
Yeah.
All right, well, okay, I've had a nice stretch. I'll walk around. Now I'm going back to the sewing. and I'll be lurking. And hello, everybody in the chat. I'll see your messages in a sec when I go back to the computer. All right.
Okay, well, it's really nice to hear your lovely voice.
Oh, thanks so much. Carry on, good sir.
Okay,
Carry on.
look forward to talking to you soon. Bye, Jackie Cat.
Okay, bye-bye.
And that's our buddy Jackie Cat. And Craig, hold on just a minute, okay? I want to do something real quick here. Hold on, let's see, what do we got? National Guard. Hold on. National Guard at the food bank.
Local food banks are facing a crisis. They can't take most food donations because of the coronavirus, and the pandemic keeps most of their volunteers at home. So enter the Washington National Guard. The governor deployed the Guard earlier this week, and Q13's John Hopperstad shows us where they are needed the most.
The governor shows up to the Nourish Food Distribution Center decked in a black protective mask as members of the National Guard pack up boxes of food.
I hope you'll convey to your families the fact that you've interrupted your lives to pitch in. I hope you thank your families for us.
It's very surreal. I would have never imagined that we would have the National Guard coming in to assist us.
But Nourish's director will take volunteers in fatigues, especially in these times. Most of her normal volunteers are seniors, and 75% of them are staying at home right now. Without the National Guard, she says 26 food banks in Pierce County, serving more than 65,000 people, would close.
This is our community. I'm born and raised in Puyallup.
Air Force Captain Steve Valletta says this is what the Guard is about.
The Guard is about helping your community, standing up, saying, I'm a Washington citizen, I'm an American. It's immeasurable the feeling we can get to just be in support of folks like this right here, right now.
The governor emphasizing that this is why he deployed the National Guard and not to enforce his stay-at-home orders.
They're not involved in law enforcement. They're involved in providing services to people. And I cannot tell you how much I appreciate what they do.
Nourish's director says the need in Pierce County could double in the next few weeks. She needs volunteers, food, and money. During the governor's stop, the mayor of Lakewood mentioned that this is payday, and then he donated his entire paycheck.
My paycheck as mayor for the Emergency Food Network.
Thank you, Don.
But the governor would not be outdone, emptying his wallet as well.
So I got to take out whatever I got in my wallet. That's all I got. It's not my whole paycheck. That's all I got right now.
Anyone else?
Okay. In Lakewood, John Hopperstead, Q13 News.
Well, Governor Inslee also signed next year's budget for the state, but during his address to extend our stay-at-home order yesterday, the governor said he would need to veto some bills that would have become law if our state wasn't dealing with this crisis. Inslee made a few of those vetoes today, including vetoing a provision for about $100 million for new counselors for students, and also a veto for about $50 million for a climate change fund to help deal with the impacts of climate change.
Okay, so I just want to say, I thought it was really interesting. There's my Boo Bear down by the river. I thought it was really interesting in that clip where it shows the governor of Washington State with a face mask on to protect from the coronavirus, taking money out of his wallet and handing it to a person. Money's like the most filthiest thing on the planet. In case you don't know. Hello, caller. Hold on just a sec. And Dwayne, our buddy from the Great White North, has pointed out repeatedly that that he's being shamed for trying to pay with cash. So I think that this guy who's trying to tell us all that we need to stay home and we need to try harder to be safer and blah blah blah. I think that just was pretty stupid. Hello, caller. Who is this?
Hey, how's it going? My name's John.
Hey, John. It's good to hear from you. Thanks for calling.
So, hey, you grow some cannabis, I think. Maybe we'll just say.
I do sometimes. What do you call it?
It's probably legal in your state or whatever.
Actually, you have to have a medical recommendation in order to be legally grow marijuana in this state, cannabis in this state.
Okay, yeah, some states are a little different.
Well, this is actually, from what I understand, the only state in which recreational cannabis has been legalized, and people, just the citizens are not allowed to grow.
Oh, yeah, it's crazy. I'm in Iowa, and they just passed for the just the hemp bill. So now you can grow it, but I don't think anybody's going to do it now because of this nonsense with the virus. Have you ever heard of kratom?
Yeah, but why wouldn't people grow their own weed because of the virus? I don't understand.
Well, I mean, just hemp, because the hemp, they were just starting it.
The hemp. Oh, I gotcha. Yeah. It's the hemp. You're not talking about growing your own weed at home or anything.
No, you still have to go and get like certification from the state for them to allow you to do it, and then you can't have already been doing it before the law passed this year. So
yeah, huh?
Yeah, it's just one of those things. So it's a good thing, but it's kind of like it's not really a great thing.
Yeah,
but
no, I hate
heard,
hate the laws. I hate the laws being on fucking flowers, man. Fucking laws on flowers.
Illinois just passed.
Laws on flowers are stupid. Go ahead, Illinois. Yeah, I hear they have rec stores opening up there, huh?
What do you feel about Mitridgia speciosa kratom?
Do you say misuse?
Well, people usually use it to get off of opiates. Have you ever heard of it?
Yeah, I've heard of kratom a lot. I had it once. It seemed to make me a little bit agitated, like I was irritated with the dogs, which is something that doesn't happen. So I didn't bother trying it again.
It's really common like back in the day for it to be like adulterated with stuff, but now like they've kind of cracked down on it. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. It's kind of like it's almost like caffeine, but to a lot of people it gets them off opiates, and a lot of that kratom comes shipped in from Indonesia. So like I'm just kind of wondering, are people gonna like go back to opiates now because they can't get a hold of their kratom?
If they can't get a hold of their kratom, they're gonna look for something else, Hopefully they'll have cannabis available as an option, because cannabis will help you get off anything, dude.
Well, thank goodness for the last several years I've been growing and shipping kratom plants all over the United States.
Right on. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's
been a task.
You have a website?
Yeah, but right now we're not shipping or anything like that. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to do that on your channel. But
do you grow from seed or?
There's actually a lot of people that do it all over the world.
From seeds or
clones or all kinds of ways.
And there's all different kinds of kratom, right? What's your favorite kind?
Everybody really likes the pink Indo.
The pink Indo.
And they like the Raffi, and the pink Indos.
Right.
And then bumblebees aren't such a favorite. They're a little hard. They're a little different genetic wise.
Huh.
And then there's like a cousin to them called Hirsuta, and it doesn't have as many alkaloids in it as kratom, but they're like very similar. So yeah, you should check it out. So hey, man, Dabs and Dogs.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
Yeah.
Nice talking to you.
Right on. Well, thanks a lot for calling. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Peace. And that was John. I think he said it was John. And yeah, Dabs and Dogs forever, man. Dabs and Dogs forever. You can count on that. Because that dog right there is gonna live forever. Let's see. So where were we at? Oh, right. We have more videos. Oh, I got the National Guard at the food bank. I thought the National Guard working at the food bank was a very interesting video. That's why I wanted to share it with you. It seems like a really awesome way for the National Guard to be helping. It also kind of seems like it looks like almost like classic propaganda video, So, and I wanted you to see the part where Inslee hands out the money, the filthy, dirty money that she couldn't wait to take. Oh, yay, money! It would have been funny. It should have been like, well, can you put that in a plastic bag, or just mail us a check, or, you know, maybe go online and make a donation. That'd be really nice, Governor. That would have been funny. So, here we are. I'm going to play another video, because it's what I do. I am blame it on China. This blame it on China thing, partially the reason I keep playing these blame it on China things is it's one of these things where, again, we know that the mainstream media is there to mislead us. And we know that when they said Russia, 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 that they were lying the whole time. So this thing where they're saying China, 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 you know, you might want to question what it is that they're saying. That's my point, is that they're saying China a lot. Like they're really trying to convince you on China.
I've been studying communist China my whole life in the military. I've never trusted a communist. And their cover-up of this virus that originated with them has caused unnecessary deaths around America and the world. So this report is not surprising at all. They need to come clean. And another piece of this is the WHO needs to stop covering for them. I think Dr. Tedros needs to step down. We need to take some action to address this issue. It's irresponsible. It's unconscionable what they've done here.
Welcome back, folks. That was Arizona Senator Martha McSally calling on the head of the World Organization to resign. That after the WHO accepted China's claims that it had the coronavirus under control. I'm joined now by our panel, Derek Hunter, host of the Daily Callers podcast, and you can hear him on from 9 to noon on WCBM 680 in Maryland. Also joined now by Julio Rivera, editorial director for reactionarytimes.com, also a columnist for several other outlets out there, including Breitbart and the Washington Times. Gentlemen, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.
Derek, do you agree with Senator McSally that the World Health Organization is bought and paid for by communist China, and that it allowed this regime to get away with sickening the world?
No, I don't. It's paid for by us. It's bought by China. So we pay the most of any country in the world, but they seem to be doing the bidding of China. Dr. Tedros was put in charge of the World Health Organization at the urging of China, and he seems to be paying back the favor. It's like so many of these organizations around the world, these sort of one government organizations. It is we foot the bill and then we get attacked. We foot the bill and they do the bidding of other member countries who don't put in as much as we do. So, yeah, we pay for it. China bought it.
Yeah, I think Trump has been pretty much saying that throughout his entire presidency and leading up to his presidency. He's tired of paying for folks who hate us. Julio, what do you think?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, the WHO has blood on its hands. I mean, let's face it, in mid-January, they were sending out a tweet saying that there wasn't conclusive evidence of person-to-person transmission, when the South China Morning Post had already reported that China was well aware that there were transmissions occurring in that manner. I think that when this whole foreign policy of appeasement sort of ended with Barack Obama, America sort of had a bullseye on her back. And I think that, organizations like the World Health Organization going ahead and doing the bidding of communist China kind of sets up the United States to look bad here. And we're having a much worse outbreak than we should have had in the United States had China been transparent and had the World Health Organization not amplified the false message of communist China.
Yeah. You know what, Derek? It is said that trying times reveal character. And here we are in trying times. And the communist Chinese, when they had their back against the wall, they decided to threaten Americans with holding our pharmaceuticals. Do you think Republicans and Democrats are going, oh, wait a minute, hey, that may not have been a good idea to make sure they had all those supply lines over there in a communist country, an enemy of the United States?
Well, they all agree that it's a problem. They don't understand how the problem came about, Chris. This country has put in regulations and after regulation and barrier after barrier to doing business in this country. And then we removed barriers from doing business in other countries and importing it back to this country. So we incentivized doing business across the country. I grew up, thankfully, if anything good comes out of this mess, I grew up in Detroit, and when there were troubles in the auto industry, there'd inevitably be some Toyota or Honda parked in the parking lot that you could pay $5 to take a few swings at it with a sledgehammer because they were doing better than us. And then it would subside and go back to normal, and the Honda or Toyota would disappear. This time, people are mad. People are shocked to learn this because they're paying attention finally. So I don't think it's going to subside the way it did once, the contract dispute was over or whatever with the UAW back in Michigan. It is too important. This is life and death. So we need to remove the regulatory barriers, the tax burdens, and really incentivize through the tax code the reimportation, not of the drugs, but of the making of the drugs and the components of the drugs. And I think the rest of the world has an appetite for this too. These industries are necessary worldwide. There's a huge opportunity for somebody, God knows we've got enough billionaires in this country, for somebody to step up and say, we're going to be the world's supplier of prescription drugs. And Europe will buy them because they buy them from China as well. So if there's a lot of anger towards China, it's justified anger. Entrepreneurial Americans could take advantage of that. I hope they do, and I hope our government gets out of the way of Americans doing that for once.
Yeah, and since we're on China, China's authoritarianism seems to be catching with all the leftists over in Europe. And Julio, you've been writing about this and how concerned you are in the midst of a crisis that a lot of European capitals and maybe some Democrat socialists here in our country are saying, hey, this government control business is cool. Let's just seize control. Tell us what has you most concerned.
Well, what has me most concerned is the overreaction in a lot of ways. I mean, there's a lot of areas in the United States of America, I think, that could be opened up and have a relatively normal economic climate right now. And then, for example, Bulgaria, the country that I'm in, there's only about 450 total cases of COVID-19 here, and only 10 people have died, but the country is grinded to a complete and total economic halt. I don't see how that helps the situation. I think you're going to have bigger problems as a result of the economic fallout. But to speak on the previous point, yes, one thing that we're learning about this is we do need to get rid of all the regulatory red tape, and we're learning the importance of nationalism and being dependent on ourselves to provide the products that can potentially save our lives.
Right, Julio, I got to leave it there. Hey, guys, thank you very much. Derek, Julio, up against the...
All right, enough of those guys. Man, that Julio Rivera guy, he's a little, you see, he's just like, his style is like so Miami, hey, right? Anyways, again, I think you want to, when we hear this China, you want to think Russia, and what it is that was, what we were paying attention to a month ago, or 6 months ago or 7 months ago, when it's Russia all day, every day, 2 years ago, whenever it was, that we knew they were lying then. I made multiple videos. It's not Russia. It's not Russia. It's not Russia. So I think again we have to understand who the mainstream media is, and try and always question them. They're not, and always know that they're not on our side or in our best interest. And that being said, okay, so again, one of the clips I said that I have is about Michelle, our buddy from Texas, is always talking about always reminding us that the task force that was assigned, that their job was to address pandemic outbreaks in the United States, was basically completely dismantled by Donald Trump. And the Donald Trump administration. And Michelle, our buddy from Texas, keeps bringing that up again and again. And I have a video about that, and I wanted to play it for you so you know better what it is she's talking about, in case you are not fully informed on this particular subject. Not that this guy's going to
Almost a year ago,
you.
The president's Health and Human Services Secretary, Alex Azar, said, quote, "People ask, what keeps you most up at night in the biodefense world? Pandemic flu, of course." That is part of what is just so maddening about the situation we now find ourselves in. What is playing out right now is almost precisely the scenario, down to a coronavirus from China leading to mask and ventilator shortages, that has been predicted by expert after expert after expert for years, both outside and inside the government. Today, the Washington Post is reporting that back in September of 2018, the Trump administration received detailed plans for new machines designed to, guess what, churn out millions of protective masks at high speeds during a pandemic, because everyone knew during a pandemic there'd be a shortage. You'll never guess what happened next. The Trump administration decided not to proceed with making the machine. The Trump administration has either ignored warnings, failed to prepare, or just gutted the very institutions that were doing the predicting. Here's the latest example of that. LA Times reporting that just 2 months before this novel coronavirus began in China, the Trump administration ended a $200 million pandemic early warning program that was called PREDICT. The program trained and supported staff in 60 labs, including a lab in Wuhan, China, that later identified coronavirus. I'm joined now by the author of that incredible story, Emily Baumgartner, medical reporter for the Los Angeles Times. Emily, what can you tell us about this program? How did it work?
Sure. So this is a program that focused on the intersection between animals and humans. It's an unusual type of program focused on research. Scientists would go out into the field, do nitty-gritty work to examine animal specimens, examine feces from animals, basically look to try to find out what viruses are arising in animals and what is the likelihood that they'll actually jump into the human population and therefore start something of an outbreak.
And we know that that's what has happened in a variety of cases, whether that's SARS or swine flu, or we think now in this case, some sort of species jump is what essentially precedes a pandemic like this.
Yes. So in many cases, you'll see the jump from animals to humans. They're called zoonotic diseases. And this is a concern so much so that the USAID program was arranged not only to send U.S. experts into the field, but the other branch of the program was to train up scientists in other countries to be able to do this work for themselves. So they did a lot of work to equip laboratories in foreign nations, to talk to veterinarians there, to talk to agriculture workers, to try to understand where are the biggest interactions between humans and wildlife in their countries, and what viruses do they need to be looking for at that intersection to make sure that nothing that begins as a small outbreak erupts into something larger.
So this was, I think, a $200 million program. It was through USAID and sort of in concert with a few other government agencies. Why was it ended?
So it's really important to note here, this was a grant cycle project. This particular project within USAID got 2 separate funding cycles. Both funding cycles were 5 years long. So it got 10 full years out of It got a 10 full year run. I want to point that out because I want to make sure it's very clear. The Trump administration did not move to eliminate a permanent program. They did not gut the funding on a permanent program. Instead, they just chose not to renew this particular program that had already received 2 funding cycles.
So this was not an affirmative. I mean, in the case of the NSC, you have sort of an affirmative move to sort of change the org chart. This was a program that had run 2 cycles in a row, I think under 2 different administrations, if I'm not mistaken, or at least had sort of been conceived in the even pre-Obama, and they just decided not to fund it this time around.
That's correct. They are working on a program that will begin this August. That's what USAID has told me. The concern here is that this program has been given an extension after the outbreak began in Wuhan. Obviously, there's some concern that this program would have been beneficial to have continuing right now. Many people are saying that. And so I think that the continuation we're seeing from March of this year until September of this year, it's about $2 million, a little bit more than $2 million, a very small amount of money. It's essentially going to be used to send scientific experts from USAID and their partners over to these laboratories that they previously supported to try to continue to help them zoom in on some of the hosts that are a problem here and to try to squelch this outbreak. But this money is not going to be used for its original purpose, which is to prevent the next pandemic, to basically do that hard science out in the field.
Well, hopefully we'll get back to that after this one's done. Emily Baumgartner, thank you so much.
Okay, so we're back, and we have Chris from Olympia on the phone. How are you today, Chris?
I'm doing good, Mike. How are you doing tonight?
I'm lovely.
Oh, lovely is a good way to be. I found a lot of things, but the last clip you played, not this clip you just played, but one you played previously, was talking about the anti-China rhetoric that's bouncing around.
Yeah.
And there was an article posted at the New York Times 2 days ago by Julian Barnes. And remember, the New York Times and the Washington Post are like propaganda organs for the intelligence agencies. Literally, like, they get notes from people in the government, and then they repeat the notes that they get from people in the government to the public as truth.
Yeah.
Both papers do that. And they both
and so does Fox News and MSNBC and CNN.
Yeah, and so I think the way the media filters work is like the big press companies, Reuters, AP, UPI, put something out, and then the networks all glob on to one of the stories and kind of explore it.
Yeah.
And then we only have like a couple of national newspapers left, maybe 2 or 3, maybe 4. And they kind of like provide us with the commentary, all backed by officials in the government. So when the person in the video clip is talking about China being a totalitarian government, and then he uses the word communist like 5 or 6 times and emphasizes the word, he's really ignoring, or he's not ignoring, he's intentionally drawing your attention away from how authoritarian our government is. And how rigged our government is.
I agree.
And the crimes of our government. And this is also the case with this article in the New York Times. And it says, the CIA hunts for authentic virus totals in China, dismissing government tallies. And you go through the article and it finds out, throughout the article, it's talking about how you can't trust the Chinese government. And that the numbers are completely underestimated, according to the CIA. So this is a quote. It says, American intelligence about understated numbers predates recent numbers from Chinese news media, but the death count in Wuhan could be 5,000 or more, doubling the official numbers. Intelligence officers have not verified press reports and have left them out of their reports, according to people briefed on their work. American officials caution that even with their own sourcing, many intelligence agencies warning to the White House since the beginning of the outbreak have viewed relatively close to reports from journalists who have been aggressively reporting on the coronavirus outbreak in China. So basically the American intelligence agency is working with dissident newspapers in China who also have a skewed opinion and are on the CIA payroll. That was also true with the Hong Kong demonstrations. The Hong Kong demonstrators were receiving money from the National Endowment for Democracy, and the newspapers in Hong Kong that were promoting the demonstrations in Hong Kong last year were also being funded by the CIA and the National Endowment for Democracy. So our whole perspective of what happened last year was kind of filtered through a very friendly media that was paid off by the CIA. And it's kind of the same thing that's happening right here. And this issue with is it China virus or is it U.S. bioweapon? I think this might be somewhere in the back of this discussion. Because if you remember the president was calling the China virus? Like,
yeah.
I haven't noticed him doing that as much recently. And I think it might have had something to do with the conversation he had with President Xi, where they talked about this. And I don't know what kind of arrangement they came to, but I don't believe this started in China at all. I can't find any evidence right now for that, but I don't believe that.
I think that, you know, this is what I've questioned all along. I really do question whether this is something that came from the U.S. or if it's something that, you know, that actually did start in China. But you know, when you see the mainstream media saying China, 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 just like when they said Russia, 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 you know, that they're absolutely just not to be trusted. So again, it's just like the fear thing. It's just like the reefer madness bullshit, you know, that they've pulled on us all along. You know, don't buy into the fear. Don't buy into the reefer madness bullshit, and don't buy into their, you know, their China, 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 Russia, 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 you know, trying to start another fucking war.
If the New York Times and the Washington Post are like outlets for the intelligence agency, it would explain this attitude. Like, here's a quote. It says, Chinese diplomats have spread disinformation. This is from the New York Times, who did weapons of mass destruction. Chinese diplomats have spread disinformation, including false reports that the virus originated from a United States Army lab and other conspiracy theories. You know, Mr. Trump has retaliated by referring to COVID-19 as the Chinese virus, and Secretary Pompeo derailed an international communique in an effort to label the disease as coming from China. But after the call between Mr. Xi and Mr. Trump last week, an uneasy peace took hold. While the Chinese media has continued to spread conspiracy theories, the most prominent Chinese diplomats have tempered their comments. Mr. Trump also has toned down his harsh language. Asked about the intelligence reports that China had misreported the virus's damage, Trump suggested he may have discussed the matter with Mr. Xi. But the reason why that jumped out at me was Chinese diplomats have spread disinformation, and they repeated it again. Conspiracy theories. They used the word conspiracy theories like 3 different times in those 2 paragraphs.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone knows that when you call a hypothetical a conspiracy theory, you are using a pejorative term.
Right, you're trying to say that it's fucking crazy people that are talking about it.
Mm-hmm. So the New York Times participated in the conspiracy theory that Iraq was developing weapons of mass destruction, and they pushed that conspiracy theory for like a year or 6 months that drew us into a war with Iraq. That's a fact. And they never fucking apologized for spreading that disinformation either, even after it was proven after the fact it wasn't true. So we can't really trust any of these media outlets. And I don't mean just the New York Times, but also Fox News and CNN and the television networks. So absolutely
the New York Times was key in helping George W. Bush march our troops into fucking Iraq based completely on lies fabricated by the White House and the Pentagon. Absolutely.
A Democratic paper pushing U.S. imperialism with a Republican president in office.
Yeah.
No problem.
Right. A Democratic paper. Anybody believe that?
Pushing
shit?
A war.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they also pushed a war with Syria in 2010 or 2016 with Obama, when Obama was threatening to bomb Syria repeatedly.
And Libya.
I wanted to counter what Joe was saying earlier when he said that you're not providing any valuable service, Mike, because you provide a very valuable service. You give us media criticism, and you always do that. When you list the post and you describe the post, you put it in context. Where is this source from? Who is this person speaking? what else is occurring in the context of what the person is saying. You know, those are important things to take into consideration when you're consuming news. And I wish that Joe would be a little more critical with his media habits, his consumption, because if he's going to vote for like Joe Biden, he's really like, he's out there, man, like on Planet 9 as far as I'm concerned, because Joe Biden is being pushed by these same media outlets that we can't trust. Why is that? Why do they hate Bernie Sanders?
Right.
Why would you fucking vote for Joe Biden? I mean, that's a good reason to get drunk every day, but it sure as hell isn't paying attention to reality, as far as I'm concerned.
No, I don't know what that guy's deal is. I mean, there's no way that I'm on the side of the Republicans. You know, it just is ridiculous.
Yeah, it is absolutely ridiculous. So I did look at a lot of marijuana stuff from your clips earlier, and coronavirus is impacting our culture in so many ways. First, we're going to have some weird form of UBI, which Andrew Yang kind of introduced to us in the primaries, like what it is, the definition of it. But something like that is happening. We're getting assistance directly to the public. Never happened before. And other things are happening that are unique as well, that may stick around even after the crisis is over. For example, Marijuana Moment had an article today about the campaign to legalize marijuana in Arizona. And the article says, Arizona legal marijuana campaign asks Supreme Court to allow electronic signatures amid the coronavirus. So, because they can't go and gather signatures, or they're not as fucking stupid as Tim Hyman standing out in front of a Walmart in Tacoma, I don't know what he's thinking. I mean, I am a signature gatherer, Mike. I've gathered signatures on several different campaigns, more than 4 or 5 signature gatherers. And I would not go out in front of a grocery store and give somebody an ink pen and emphatically describe some bill to them with my face just 3 feet away from them. Right?
Yeah. I think that he just knew he could get exposure that way, like, you know, from the media would be my guess.
I hope he gets some exposure.
Yeah.
I hope he gets some exposure and ends up in a motel room in South Florence and does like his video podcast of what it's like to be sick for, like, you know, deathly sick for 2 weeks with COVID-19. I'd like to see Tim Hyman do that. And then explain to me about why the government shouldn't help him out.
Yeah, no, the guy's messed up individual. There's no doubt about it. I mean, there's something kind of wrong with that guy. He's just not. The way he, you know, acts is really strange. You know.
So from this article, they say, and this is a quote, says, while the marijuana campaign has gathered more than 300,000 signatures in Arizona, which is well over the required 237,000 signatures for statutory proposals, they have yet to be verified, and activists would like to continue collection efforts to ensure they qualify for the ballot. In the filing, the groups argue that limiting the e-poll system to office seekers is unconstitutional. However, state law stipulates that it can only be used for that purpose, so it remains to be seen whether court action will produce the intended result. There was a bill filed last year to expand its utility and to allow digital signature gathering for initiatives, but it has not advanced in the legislature. So they're pushing for this opportunity to gather signatures electronically, and I hope that they get that opportunity, because it is kind of crazy that you can't sign a petition online and then directly give that petition to the government.
Yeah.
There's 300,000 Washingtonians who want, like, say, a progressive income tax, and here you are. Here's their addresses, here's their names, and they've all signed on this one form. That seems just as legitimate to me as having sheets and sheets and sheets and sheets of paper with all of this information that has to be processed by hand.
It just makes it too easy for people to participate then, Chris, that's all. They don't want the people participating.
So, but it is a measure that if it works, Mike, it'll be an example that other people can use in different states. Like hopefully, like, you know, we can move past this fascination with whatever paper.
Yeah.
If they can find a way to verify it, like if they want to check the name, they can find your phone number and call you or send you a text and say, "Did you really sign this petition?"
Yeah.
You know, there could be some verification tactics that they could use.
Yeah, it seems pretty basic, you know, in the 21st century. And like you said, paper is so fucking, you know, 14th century, man. I don't know what the fuck. Come on.
It's kind of older. I mean, I don't know. I like reading the paper, like, when I went to the coffee shops, but, you know, that all kind of stopped in about 2005 when you go to the coffee shop and everybody is just, like, immersed in their own personal screens.
Yeah.
And because they're in their screens, it's really hard to have a conversation with somebody because they're already having a conversation with somebody else. Like I said, that's what Noam Chomsky noted about how it's difficult to get people's attention in this time of all these screens. There was an article at The Hill noting how crime rates have dropped across the country and giving specific examples in different states and different types of crime. Like, for example, homicide in California's biggest city fell by 43%, rape dropped by 37%, robbery declined by 14%. These downward trends also appear to dovetail with an order from Mayor Garcetti shuttering non-essential businesses and mandating people to stay at home. Also, violent crime in Chicago, Atlanta, and Denver all dropped fast on compared to statistics from March 2019. So crime all over the United States is dropping right now.
Yeah, I think there's some positive things happening. Like I said, if we can come together now and you know, we could really make a whole different shift on the planet if we tried right now. Anyways, hey Chris, I gotta go for a minute. So it's good to hear from you. Did you want to do something else?
Yeah. No, not at all.
Okay.
Thank you for the time, and I look forward to listening to the other callers. Right?
Okay.
Good night, Mike.
All right. Well, I'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Good night.
Good night. Let's see. And I want to play this video. I'll be right back to discuss it here. Hey, stop. Play this video. I'll be right back to discuss it with you guys. Hold on.
And we're going to turn now to the Navy captain relieved of duty on that U.S. aircraft carrier after he sounded the alarm about the safety of his own sailors after so many of them tested positive. Today, the remarkable image, cheered by his crew as he was forced to leave the ship. Here's Martha Raddatz.
If there was any doubt how the sailors of the Roosevelt felt about their captain, it is very clear tonight. One last look and a wave goodbye. Brett Crozier walked down the ramp from the carrier for the last time, relieved of duty. A mass of sailors cheering him with chants of Captain Crozier. The letter that got Crozier fired was a plea to Navy leadership to get the majority of his nearly 5,000 sailors off the ship as soon as possible, given the rapid spread of coronavirus on board. The Secretary of the Navy didn't accuse him of leaking the letter to the press, but showing poor judgment by not going through proper channels.
Relieving of him of command was in the best interest of the United States Navy.
Those I have been in contact with say many on the crew feel bruised and believe the captain sacrificed his career for their safety. David?
Incredible story. Martha, thank you.
All right. Let's see. Where's that at? Okay, you guys. So if anybody wants to call, you can go ahead and call. I am going to make plans to get out of here because the grocery store closes early now, and I want to go to the grocery store tonight as opposed to going this weekend. So although it's always the weekend now. That was when we took a gondola up to the top of this mountain. I think it's Crystal. Is it Crystal Mountain? I'm not sure. Yeah, Crystal Mountain. And then we walked down. We took gondola up and then walked down. Hello, caller.
Hey, Mox. This is Thomas. I talked to you once or twice before, and
I did see that Navy, what was it, Admiral or Captain or something like that, story, and my first initial thought was this guy should, probably get a promotion.
Yeah.
But, that's just me.
Yeah, no, I wanted to play that story again. I played it earlier, but it was a different clip of the same story, and I wanted to play it again specifically. Again, this earlier caller was saying how I'm sucking Republican dick, and what I'm telling you is that Donald Trump can't wait to have fucking literal war criminals in the White House, and then this guy who's actually saving his sailors' lives. They treat him like a fucking criminal, saying, you're no longer welcome on this boat, get the fuck out. That shows how much Donald Trump cares about the troops, okay? And if he does care about them at all, that commander will be back, rehired tomorrow, because that's a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, what was his name? Brett or something like that? I forgot.
I'm not sure, honestly. But I think that sounds right.
When I was a kid, thinking about your whole, can we have election during a plague and all this, and even sometimes as an adult, I'm sure everyone, this is one of the thoughts I think that's kind of universal, like I used to imagine, what if, everyone just decided to just quit and just say, you know what, I'm not playing any longer, or some kind of variation of that. Everyone's just going to have a global strike. I mean, I think people on the left, the right, and now the first time in my life, I think, that we have kind of, I can kind of see it, a real higher chance possibility of that happening. Now, I'm kind of scared to see what would be the outcome a little bit, but, you can't help but be scared of something like that anyways.
Well, the unknown is scary, but I've been calling for a global strike for a long, long time. I've been telling the people, that this is, we have the power. We just have to get beyond these stupid labels that divide us and then just sit down. It's like you're saying. All we have to do is we don't have to go out into the streets. We just have to sit down in our fucking homes and refuse to fucking jump through their bullshit hoops anymore. And then all the power will be returned to the people almost instantly, because people like Jeff Bezos and stuff like that would be like, hey, we got to get this thing going again.
Yeah. I think there's two demands that we could unify a lot of people is universal basic income and Medicare for all. And if you just had two demands, because you have to demand something out of this. Of course, there's lots of demands. I could think of 10 different things, but just simple things. I mean, the reason why Medicare for all and universal basic income are so popular is because they are universal programs, and it's just simple. Like the labyrinth you have to go through. Like I'm in Florida, just even trying to apply for unemployment. The website hasn't worked in weeks. I mean, and it still doesn't work. I mean, it's just constantly going in a loop. I mean, you just have universal basic income, you would have prevented a lot of this stuff from happening in the first place, and you would prevent panic, and people would be able to just carry on. And same with Medicare for all. I mean, if you don't support Medicare for all, basically you're a health insurance salesman. That's what Biden is. He's a health insurance salesman, and he's a health insurance and salesman during this pandemic. Let's open up Obamacare market, folks. So, you can get COBRA, you can get Medicare Advantage or whatever you want, pay $2,000 a month when you just lost your job.
Right.
I'm a Medicare salesman. That's me, Obama, Obama, Biden. I'm getting, some of the Biden is wearing off on me.
I could definitely see himself calling himself Obama. I could definitely see him doing that.
Yeah, and some other. Did you hear about what happened in Hungary? Everybody, did you hear about what happened in this country of Hungary? Did you hear about that?
I heard something about Hungary earlier today, but I can't recall it at this moment.
Oh yeah, they declared it's a dictatorship now. The president declared like an indefinite. I forgot what the word is, but basically he's declared himself a dictator, and only he can declare that the emergency is over. And he has there's like a bullet point list of all these powers he has. It's just like, the Palpatine moments, basically.
Yeah, I hear you. I see. I'm waiting for Trump to do something like that. We can't have the election because all the sick people.
Well, they need to have another demand or something we need to put in place is, this is unprecedented. I think a lot of people are aligned right now on the fact that we do need quarantines. So it's like he can say, okay, well now I declare an emergency. But what we have is, in some ways, unprecedented in two ways. We have it unprecedented in the possibility and potential where people can strike and really push the leverage that we have with, especially, we can see clearly now who's so-called essential. It's your delivery drivers and people that work at the grocery stores, etc. But also, we have like an unprecedented lockdown that's never happened in American history. And if someone did want to, lean on the leverage of power, the executive power, they probably could. We need to have sunset clauses for situations like this, and we need like a not a Praetorian Guard, of course, but like a sunset guard, something like.
Yeah, I agree. I think sunset clauses are very important, especially in times like this. The fucking Patriot Act, fucking.
Yeah, it should not go longer than, I would say, 3 weeks, and if you need to re-up it, you have to re-vote on it.
Yeah.
And if you refuse to leave, we have a sunset guard that's fully armed, and it takes an oath to remove you, to remove anyone who declares emergencies. Like, that should be, someone needs to write legislation on that, right away. But, do you think Bernie still has a chance to win?
I don't know. I think, it's really hard to keep that hope alive, when you see everybody trying to say that there's, that Joe Biden is obviously the nominee now. It's just the 2016 election all over again. Basically. So yeah, I can believe that he has a chance, but it's going to get to the goddamn convention, which has already been postponed, and it's going to be the same thing all over again, which is, it's Hillary's turn, I guess, or whatever.
Well, every time the media says like it's all over and they're all like giddy and blushing about it, it just makes me, kind of dislike them a lot more every time I see something like that, because literally there are statistically 24 states remaining. Bernie has about 900 delegates, Biden has about 1,200, and someone needs 1,900 to clinch it. Now, what would need to happen is something like, Biden getting 30, 40% in the remaining states, while Bernie gets about 60 to 70%. Now, the only way I could see it happening is if Bernie comes out and says, we need to postpone all primaries until, let's say June the 9th, which would be the second Tuesday in June, and have a Super June, and that kind of represents 69 too, 6-9, June the 9th, where we're going to turn this all freaking around. But anyways, or until safe, and then just have all the 24 states that are remaining, and in that possibility, with 2 more months remaining, we have 10 million people who lost their jobs recently, and Joe's trying to sell them health insurance. He was at 20%, before he had this sudden surge, which who knows if you can believe all that anyways, and demand also paper ballots and UN monitoring and stuff like that of the elections, and 2 more debates. We don't even need the debates, but if we had 2 more debates, that would help. And, and Bernie over the next 2 months, all of a sudden deciding to say, hey, you know what? I'm 77 years old. I don't give a F anymore. If I'm going to go out, I'm going to be gone here in about 10 more years anyways. Maybe I just let it all hang out and just like really start calling the media fake, calling the representation that we've had in Congress with this Orwellian called CARE Act fake, saying that, you know what, Donald Trump promised to drain the swamp. You want to see an old MFer that's actually gonna drain the swamp, then that's me. And if he actually decided to do something like that, and just say, then maybe then Joe would go back to his 20%. Bernie would win by a landslide the 24 remaining states. He has a legitimate case because Joe's telling people to. What's Bernie supposed to do? Tie his hand behind his back and say, no, don't vote for me. But we know Joe's telling everyone to go out to vote.
What Bernie is supposed to do is what you're doing, which is to point out to everyone that in the middle of this, crisis where everybody's now unemployed, Joe Biden is selling insurance instead of trying to fight for universal health care. And for whatever reason, I just don't see him doing it.
Yeah. He needs to just say, hey, we need to push everything back to June 9th. At least put that out there, and just say all the remaining states. Let's just have one big primary, and because we want to keep people safe.
Yeah.
Joe and the Democrats don't care if you have coronavirus or not. And I don't know. If the media, it's like, damn. So I don't know. Maybe everyone can just refuse to do anything and call their Congress and just say, Bernie did put out a good plan today, though. $2,000 a month for every individual, freezing utility shutoffs, foreclosures, evictions, and now if we could just extend that longer, but that's a pretty good start. I don't know, man, and I appreciate the animals, though. One thing, no matter if it's a crisis or not, we still love our cats and dog videos and stuff like that.
Well, it helps you to kind of prioritize a little bit too, our loved ones, I gotta tell you, I really love my life, and part of the reason is because that dog is so damn happy. I just love seeing him be happy, seeing him, he literally, his tail never stops wagging. When he's sleeping, his tail is wagging. So, I don't know, I just love it.
No, I do too. I really do. Sometimes, I'll go down the rabbit hole on, YouTube or whatever, and before I know it, I'm hearing about conspiracies about pyramids on, the Mars of moon, the moon of Mars or whatever. But the other days, I might, once, in every 6 months, I go down the rabbit hole of, freaking animals and stuff, and, little kittens raised by a wild, wolf or something like that. It always touches my heart. But, I think another message that could be taken out there is what Trump started, fake news. He might not have started, but he really got that going. It really is a battle of fake versus real.
Well, the problem with he didn't get that started. Jon Stewart is the one who used that phrase originally. Yeah. He used to use it every night. He would call himself the fake news, and he repeatedly on Time magazine was the most trusted man in American media. And again, it's like with me, I call Mox News, unfair and biased. And the reason being is because by saying that I'm biased, I believe that makes me 100 times more honest than the mainstream media, who tries to tell you that they're fair and unbiased. Fuck that. I'm not fair or unbiased. I am the exact opposite of that. And just by telling you the truth about that, I'm being so much more honest than those other fucking outlets.
Yeah, I agree. So fake news is something, and fake representation is what we're getting in Congress. And our elected officials, I hope that term goes more viral, like fake news, fake representation. Everything that we have is fake. I mean, that's what it is, and we just want some real representation. And I also have to say, fake smiles, like that's something you get from the media and politician. Anyone who like I'm starting to think, anyone who freaking smiles, that's who's fake.
Well,
the candidate running who has a smile, that's the person not to vote for you. That smile, hidden behind that smile, is like a snake bite.
Yeah, I fucking Joe Biden's smile is one of the scariest things I've ever seen, dude. Craig's pushing me to get another caller on. So
Yep. All right, man.
It's
Take
good
care.
to hear
if
from
they smile. Don't. They're bad news if they smile.
Well,
So anyway.
I smile all the time, and I honestly I tell people, you know, if you can keep a smile on your face as you go through life, it will be much easier for you. That's
all right. Well, I can dig that too.
Yeah.
I can simultaneously dig the same things.
Yeah.
But good to talk to you. Take care.
Yeah.
And,
it's nice to hear from you too. I look forward to talking again soon.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thanks for calling. Bye. Okay, so Craig's got one more caller, and I am trying to get out of here so I can go grocery shopping. So hopefully we will be able to make that happen, although I don't know. Doesn't look like it. Hello, caller.
Hey, is this Moxie?
Yeah, this is Moxie.
Hey, Moxie, this is Alan. I called you a while back about my trip to Egypt and Greece and Italy.
Right on, yeah, that sounded like an awesome trip. I remember that.
Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to get in on this. I got to say something about your chat room. I appreciate it. It's cool. It's YouTube. What are you going to do? But there's some people in there trying to censor other people and tell them what to think, and that's thought policing, and I really don't appreciate that. And so, hey, freedom of speech. That's what it's all about. If you don't like what I'm saying, then block me. Don't listen to me.
Well, yeah, I hear you.
Don't tell me what to think.
Yeah, no,
right?
I agree. And that one of the things that people have heard me say again and again, stop telling me what to do. It's
exactly
because I'm not
telling you what to do.
Yeah. That's how the caller started off earlier today with telling me, blah, 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 you. And I'm like, dude, I don't call your fucking show and tell you how to run your fucking show, do I? So you go do your YouTube and I'll do my YouTube.
Exactly. You do you, I'll do me, and we can all be a happy family, right?
Yeah.
Once you start trying to censor other people and trying to dictate how they act, you're just becoming part of the problem.
Yeah, we have to accept people how they are and move forward together, because if you don't accept how they are, what they're going to do is they're going to pretend to be something different so that you will then accept them and you won't know who they really are.
Precisely. I couldn't agree more. So
where are you calling from, Alan?
I'm calling from near Portland, Oregon. So I'm outside of Portland. Here in Oregon, let's step on the coronavirus, landmine, because we can't avoid it now. It's in our face 24/7. In my county, we have one case.
Yeah.
And people are acting like it's the freaking plague. So as an example, last week around Friday, after being cooped up in my house for a couple of days, because I get to work because I'm an essential employee with hand quotes.
Uh-huh.
So I have to go to work, which is, I'm fortunate because I know so many people are out of work. But I work a 12-hour shift. So I'm on for 3 days, off for 4 days, then I work for 4 days, and I'm off for 3 days. So it's a every other week cycle. And,
that's cool.
So I've been cooped up for 2.5 days. It's Friday. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to walk down to the liquor store. I'm going to buy myself a bottle of rum, and I'm going to get some, get me some weed, and then walk back home, right? And I live out, I live far from the city. It's about 2 miles to get just down into my little city. And I walk down the hill. As I'm walking down the hill, I'm about 3/4 of a mile in, I see my neighbors, and I, waved to them, said hi to them a few times over the years. I don't really know them, but they see me coming, and they drop their garden utensils. They both run inside the house. They slam the doors, and they slam the windows like I'm the Walking Dead. Are you kidding me? People, stop freaking out. Viruses come and viruses go.
Yeah.
Now, whether this was created in a lab or something that was allowed to just, work its way through the population, who knows? We don't know. We'll probably never know. But we can point to all the anecdotal evidence of this and that and this and that. The fact is, we know there's a virus out there. We're pretty, well, at least we're told there's a virus out there. But we're told to take precautions, but there's a way to positively do this and there's a way to negatively do this. Running inside your house when you see a stranger walking by or somebody that's one of your neighbors that you've waved to a few times, I don't think that's the appropriate reaction.
Yeah.
Okay, hey, maybe you want to back up and just be like, hey, buddy, you stay over there. How you doing?
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
Yeah.
Just keep walking, right?
Yeah.
Don't be a dumbass about it and run inside your house. That freaked me out, first of all.
Yeah. I imagine it would freak you out.
It made me grab my phone and look at myself like, is there something grossly wrong with me right now?
Yeah. Oh my God, I got a booger
hanging off my face.
Yeah. I hear you. People are scared and they're gonna act stupid. It's just what they do when they're scared. Which again is why I tell people from way before this fucking coronavirus started not to fucking buy into the fear. Because you act stupid once the fear gets inside of you. It's really hard to get out of you, and then you act stupid, and you blame the fear like it's okay to act stupid because of the fear. It's not okay.
Well, fear has there's the immediate fear which is a healthy fear. Like say somebody walks up to you and puts a gun in your face.
Yeah,
right.
That's what fear is
an immediate
to be.
attempt on your life. That fear is there to dump the adrenaline into your system so that you are able to fight or flee.
Right.
Right? And then there's the other fear that's the panic fear. That's not that immediate fear. That's the panic that's being induced into your mind by the mainstream media and other sources and your family around you. And that fear, that slow lingering fear that raises your cortisol levels, which lowers your immune response and makes you more susceptible to catching the virus, right?
And I keep
that
pointing
immediate
that out
adrenaline dump.
Yeah, I keep saying that. I keep pointing that out. That it's gonna hurt you in the long run. Your immunes are gonna be weaker because you have this fear that's never ending. I agree, dude.
Yeah, and it's that long, drawn out, slow panic fear that makes people buy out all the toilet paper in the shelves,
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's one thing. I'm a prepper because I was raised Mormon, so you can take the boy out of Mormon, but you can't take the Mormon out of the boy. So the one thing I did learn growing up was be prepared. I was a Boy Scout.
Yeah,
I'm an eagle.
The last thing you want is to run out of fucking food, man.
So I have plenty of food.
Yeah.
I have plenty of water. I have generators, and I've got that stuff backed up, and I'm ready to go. But I didn't buy toilet paper.
It's not on my list either, so it's only going to be a couple days, dude. We'll get through this.
Well, I ordered some on Amazon, and they said it'll come here May 15th.
Well, good. Well, you got it on the way then.
Well, I went through my bug-out bag, and I found 9 rolls in my bug-out bag. So
yeah.
I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, for sure.
Half my bug-out bag was toilet paper.
It's crazy. So like I said, it's not on my list. It wouldn't even be in my bug-out bag. Hey, Alan, I got another caller. I'm going to try and get one more caller before we go. It's good to hear from you. Thanks a bunch for calling.
All right. Have a good night.
Talk to you soon, I hope. Bye. Okay, so I guess we're going to do one more caller. I'm going to keep it short. I'm going to try and get the fuck out of here so I can go get some groceries. Do we have one more caller? We don't have another caller? Hello, caller.
Hello, caller.
Hey, how's it going? It's Scotty. I called you a little bit earlier. I was wondering if I can ask you a question. It's a little bit off topic.
Yeah, man, go ahead.
It's been on my mind. I'm going to make it quick. I know you got to go to the grocery store. Thank you for taking my call. This is the question. Anybody who's called your show and has gone to voicemail, you say on your voicemail, be careful what you say because you say you're being followed by or monitored by the men in black. My question to you, and I know it's a little off topic, is how do you know that you're a targeted individual? I believe it's what it's called, correct? A targeted individual?
It's something that's going on a long time. You have to shut off the audio.
Okay. Said if somebody calls you and it goes to voicemail.
Okay. No. I got your question. I got it. Okay. So listen. That is my voicemail from 1997. Okay, when I was very famous in Seattle, that was my voicemail in 1997, long before George Bush, long before Barack Obama, when they started spying on everyone. So that's just something that I saw coming, and I shared with people. Okay, I gotta shut you off. Thanks for calling. Okay, I can't deal with the fucking feedback. Listen, I'm gonna go, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. We do this every Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific time. We'll be back here on Monday, same Mox time, same Mox channel. And until then, be sure and stay cool, because one of these days, this war is going to end. Damn it. God damn it. Fucking hell.
No matter which mouth you feed on a two-headed snake, it still shits the same turd. But lucky for you, you have Mox News. More than 10 years. More than 60,000 videos. Mox News has been filtering the nonsense and illuminating the bullshit from your mainstream media. Turn off your TV and turn on to Mox News. For over a decade, documenting the socio-political events that have etched and carved the pathways that define today's modern mess, Mox News has been providing clarity while faithfully bringing you today's relevant stories 100% commercial-free and subscription-free. And just like Lady Liberty vows to remain free. But at this time, we're asking you for your help, your patronage, and your support to keep the lights on and the videos rolling. For less than 17 cents per day, you can become a basic subscriber, knowing that your donation is truly making a difference that will help continue bringing the news stories that make a difference in your life. Turn on, tune in, and drop a couple dimes today by clicking the link below or visiting moxnews.com and show your support at any level. From a single one-time donation or dedicated monthly subscriber, do it now in less than 2 minutes. All donations are safe, securely processed, and verified using PayPal, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or Discover Card. As always, we're sure you'll find something of interest each and every day. This holiday season, give the gift of Mox. moxnews.com.